What is up, guys? Tristan's Kirby Restorations and Vacuum Demonstrations here. Amongst the sides of doing mostly weather videos, we're going to have some vacuum videos in between it. So, if you've already seen the title, we're going to be showing you some things that you probably don't know about the Kirby Classic 1CR. Starting with one major factor is the motor itself. So, let's go ahead and get on with it and show you what's different about this that you might want to take a look at in your 1CR. And some things that you can do if you're actually wanting to use a Kirby Classic 1CR as like a daily driver. I'll show you what you can do to make it a little bit better. Alright, so first off, we're going to be taking a look at what's inside the motor here. Okay, so there was 3 Phillips head screws you take off. Take off one here, and there's also one on the other side in the same spot. And you take off one on the bottom. And this thing just slides right off. That's right. So this is the motor of a Kirby Classic 1CR. Here's your brushes. Brushes are here on both top and bottom. Here's your switch. Gotta be careful, be mindful of this. And then inside of here you got your handle spring, and yeah, that's pretty much what's inside of one of those, but you're not really worried about that right now. What I'll show you, if you see what you already see something already, is this piece of foam right here. Yes, so a Classic 1CR had a piece of foam that was inside of the motor here, and you probably see that they have this piece of cardboard underneath there. What this does is actually a motor vent seal. Now Kirby no longer makes this, so I made my own. And so what this does is, so you got the hot air coming out of here, which is the vent, and be sure these wires, make sure they don't get pinched whenever you put the housing back on. So as you can see, there's the vent down in here where the cooling fan is that blows the hotter air out. So without this here, without this piece of foam here, it's not really going to do much sealing off the motor. I mean, you'll get some, but not really enough. And you may notice that this housing here may get quite hot, and that's what mine was doing. It was getting very hot. And then so once you get this piece inside of here and you get this all sealed up, this seals the hotter air out of the motor so it does not be blowing back in here. Basically, it seals it off, and you're going to be sucking nothing but cooler air from these vents here into the motor, which is going to be much more effective in cooling the motor in your 1CR. So that's one of the things that you might want to take a look at if you're going to be doing a service mint on a Classic 1CR, is definitely try to make yourself a piece of foam here to seal up that motor. It'll definitely make it run a lot better. So right, so there's the commutator. The motor's in great shape. I don't know if these had covers, mine didn't. So yeah, so I just wanted to point that out with this piece of foam here. So that's definitely what you want to have inside of this to help cool the motor off. All right, so now that we have our motor sealed up, so whenever you go to use your 1CR now, all the hot air is going to be coming out of the bottom, and the cooler ambient temperature air that's inside your house is going to be pulled through the vents, through the motor, and out to the front there. And these seals are always almost gone completely if your machine has not been serviced or, you know, has been rebuilt. And what that means, you know, you have to kind of make your seal to seal the motor up, because then you might notice without that seal there, it's not going to be pulling the air directly through the vents like it's supposed to, and that hot air is not going to really be staying in the front. It might get blowed around in the motor, and that hot air can recirculate inside the motor. And you may notice that the motor housing is going to get pretty darn hot here, like mine was doing. And I've ran mine a little bit, and it seemed to definitely help it like a lot. Like it's not nowhere near as hot as it would get. Even on the hose, it was not getting as hot as it used to be. Because when you ran this thing on hose, man, it would get really hot. And also, I don't really recommend running these on hose setting too much, because these are an older motor too, and it just kind of wears the brushes out faster. And since this is a transitional model, and now if you have like a newer motor, then by all means, yes, you can run it on hose. But these ones here, like, you kind of want to be careful, because these are older, especially like a dual Cen-Tex 80. I don't really recommend running it on hose. These, I mean, kind of if you can run them on hose, I just want to do it for like very long periods of time, only because it'll just wear the motor out faster. And these really do better on nozzle anyways. And really the hose is like for doing like your couches and stuff. Definitely would not run it on hose for a long period of time. Now I'm going to show you another thing what I did with my 1CR that also helps it out a lot more. Alright, so the next thing I did with my 1CR was I put the nylon plastic fan in here, only because I use this machine quite regularly, and so I wanted to have something a bit more durable, and it did make it quieter, as well as the motor spins a little bit faster with a little bit less load on it. Now you can choose to leave the metal fan in yours, and the reason why I took mine out, because it was kind of like eating up my bearings. And so when I was using my 1CR, I put brand new bearings in it 2 years ago, and literally last week or so I put another set of bearings in it because the bearings were already bad, and that was with a metal fan. And come to find out that metal fans in these 1CRs were kind of prone to messing up the bearings from what I've heard. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, so I'm not really going to really stick to it and say, well, that's the case and all that. No. So basically, if you're going to clean with a 1CR, as meaning like you're going to use it like as a regular vacuum, yeah, I put one of these in here because it makes it quieter, and it overall makes the motor run a bit better. Now, if you're going to want to leave it original, yes, by all means, leave the metal fan in there. If the motor's been redone in yours, like it's got a factory rebuilt, yeah, you could probably get away with a metal fan in there. But this is the original 1973 motor, so it's not really, it's not really new anymore. So yeah, that's just one of the other things you can do to your 1CR. And also, get yourself a ball bearing brush roll. Now this one's a 2-row right now, so I plan to put a 4-row in it to make it even better. So yeah, so that's all you can do to your 1CR, and this is what was inside of a 1CR for people that really don't know and may have the same issues with their 1CR where it's kind of overheating. It may seem like it's overheating and not cooling well, and that's because, well, that foam piece is in the back, and there's some things you can do to help your 1CR out. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoy this video. Subscribe for more content, and thanks for watching.